Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to Brandy Lloyd Holistic Nutrition and Personal Training. Just a reminder that I just wanted to say that this is not medical advice, that these are just health tips. That is my new start to every podcast, is also to remind you that if you are currently under any treatment or protocol with your doctor and you're considering making some big changes, especially if it's messing with any medication that you're on, that you work with your doctor about that first before trying anything. But today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the involvement of our doctors and what our mindset, what I think our mindsets, the frame of mind that we need to be in. And so from the position that I'm speaking from is somebody that has been struggling with the daily walk of having an autoimmune dysfunction. So I've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and chronic pain, and they kind of in pencil maybe on the side say a little bit of chronic fatigue, but there's a myriad of symptoms and just kind of daily pushes and pulls when you're walking around with an autoimmune condition. And you know that also encompasses people with thyroid issues, even the metabolic issues, blood sugar. You know, insulin is a hormone. And so just having a name sometimes is a little bit of relief. It makes you feel like, okay, I'm not going crazy. There's a reason why maybe I'm having these crazy cravings, or there's a reason why my body hurts, or there's a reason why I can't lose weight and keep it off, or there's a reason for my mood swings, or there's a reason for my pain. And sometimes having a name on it or a diagnosis helps. In my case, it is affirmation or validation that I am experiencing real things, and that is a little bit of a relief, but that certainly doesn't mean that there's like, well, here's your pill or here's your answer. Because in order to really heal, there needs to be changes. And for most of us, those changes are rather evolution or a process. And as we make changes, there's definitely a cause and effect. So if I am making change in my life, it's going to affect other areas of my life. And you kind of have to push and pull with that and do a little bit of experimenting. And that's what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today, is the lifestyle frame of mind and the dieting frame of mind, and really having a minute to ask yourself, well, what do I really truly want? Is it really to lose 40 pounds? Is that it? Is that what you really truly want? Because I tell you what, there's lots of ways, unhealthy and unhealthy, to lose 40 pounds. And that's great. There's a lot of health benefits to not having extra weight on our body. However, if the weight simply wasn't a problem or the problem, and it was just a byproduct or a symptom of a different problem, then that weight is just going to come right back on. And for most of my students, that's been the process. The first diet I did, or the second diet I did, I remember I did this or that, or whether it was a starvation diet or only eating one kind of food diet, or juicing or pills or whatever. Nearly all of my clients have been in and out of different diet pools, and none of them have been lasting. And that's because they haven't made a lifestyle out of it. And so making a lifestyle and being happy with a certain lifestyle is really knowing what you want. How do you want to live? For me, personally, I want to live free. I want to be able to explore this earth and travel and play in it and walk in it. And I want to feel good while I'm doing it. And I want to be around people that I love. And I want to really be present and not struggling. And I want to sleep good. I want my body to feel good. And I want it to perform when I want it to perform. And so that's what my mindset is when it comes to my food that I eat, the nutrient-rich food that I eat. I really, really want my food to be fuel, and I want it to be healing. And it also plays into different areas when I consider my lifestyle, is if I want to continue, hiking or canoeing, well, that means that I'm going to need to do strength training, because as we get older, it becomes more and more difficult to grow muscle and keep their dense muscle fibers. So I do resistance training and, weight training. And I also do mobility work so that my joints stay supple and have good range of motion, and yoga. And I also do journaling and quiet time and make sure that I have good sleep and I'm hydrated. So all of these things attribute to my lifestyle, not my diet. And my dieters don't do well. They'll do really good in the beginning, and then they hit a wall because their willpower is done and they can't hold on to the diet anymore. Or they hit their goal and then that's it. They just hit the goal and they feel maybe freedom with that, and then they just go right back to the way they were living before, because they didn't really make a lifestyle out of it. So this is what I suggest. Typically, my clients come to me, and regardless of what is going on in their health, everybody can stand to detox a little bit. Everybody can take a step back and really clean out their eating. Very few people that sit down with me are already clean eaters. So that's the first thing we do, is we get rid of all the crap, and I kind of teach them how to eat. And it varies, and it's a little bit detoxing, and we get them on a basic supplement regimen. And for most of my clients, they do meet with me live in person. And so we might do some mobility or strength training along with that to help with the mindset and also to get the additional coaching. But after that initial detoxing and cleaning up is done, that doesn't mean that, boom, here's your diet. No, actually, we're going to start thinking about really your relationship with food and your mental relationship or your awareness of your body. Okay, and I'm not just talking about the awareness that I was laughing with one of my clients just this morning about noticing how there's the growing acreage of cottage cheese on the back of your thighs, or your newfound muffin top, or how your skin on your chest near your collarbone is like changing, or how your skin feels thinner. I'm not talking about just stuff like that. I'm actually talking about how you feel and starting to put a couple things together. The food you eat and how you feel. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about knowing your body. And I ask my students to journal, a health journal, not just a food journal. And in the beginning, I do think that having food lists like eat these things and don't eat these things, it kind of helps. It definitely helps in the detox. And also a guideline of about how much to eat and maybe when. And a lot of people don't know really what makes up their food. So even when they start eating healthfully, they really don't know what is a sweet potato. What are macros? What makes up a sweet potato as far as, is it a fat? Is it a carbohydrate? Is it a protein? Is it a little bit of everything? What kind of vitamins and minerals can I find in a sweet potato? So in the beginning, I do encourage my students to use handy apps like MyFitnessPal. In the beginning, it helps a little bit about portion. I don't have a lot of women that are huge eaters. For some reason, and I think it's because of years of dieting maybe, that a lot of women that come in here are under eating. They're under calorie. They're starving their bodies of not only just energy, whether it is energy coming from fat or dietary fat, or energy coming from dietary sugars, whether it's a diet soda, a Twinkie, or sweet potato, they're not getting enough energy. And there's a lot of physical and psychological effects from pretty much living in a state of malnourishment. So by me giving them a little caloric goal to hit is helpful in the beginning, or like a range, and also a list of foods. Yes, for these, let's avoid these for right now. Definitely helps in the beginning, along with what I said, like the MyFitnessPal. And it really just makes you stop in your tracks a little bit and consider the food that you're eating, and not just mindlessly eating by like the clock. I have a real long history with eating by the clock. What time is it? I better eat. Because I have a long history of being hypoglycemic, which means that my blood sugars get really, really low. So I was always kind of having to feed my blood sugars every couple hours. And guess what I wanted because my blood sugars were low? I craved more carbohydrates, or things that were going to give me a really quick dose of sugar. Well, unfortunately, when I would have, like, this is back in the day, like maybe a whole grain, 7 grain, or like a raw grains or whatever, a sandwich, I was right back in that situation again in 2 hours, because it was a short fuel and I already burned it, especially with the very athletic and busy fitness-filled life, that I've always led. So it does matter the type of foods that you are choosing and having. And most women are, most women are lacking protein as well. And we need those amino acids to even, build muscles and to feel good. So most of my clients, we start out with the detox. I talk about cleaning up the detox. And then we move into mindfulness that sometimes it's just mindfulness with, let's just keep track of what you're eating and how those foods make you feel. And there's different levels of coaching to where maybe we're checking your blood sugars. If you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, we may start checking your blood sugars, or your ketone levels via blood, after you have eaten, before you have eaten, different things. But the first step would be knowing your body, keeping track of what you're eating, and if they're open to it at the time, or if I feel that they're ready, starting to look at macronutrients and starting to look at some of the calories that they're getting. But today, let's talk about knowing your body and really being mindful about how your food makes you feel. And I made a little list here. Now, I'm a big podcast listener, and I typically have, and my family and clients can attest for it, I typically have notebooks around with pens. If I write something down, I'm going to remember it, especially if it's in the arena of health and fitness. So this list, you can go back to this podcast at any time, but I encourage you to maybe get yourself a little folder or binder, spiral notepad, legal pad, memo pad, whatever you like to use. I do like the old pen and paper method, and maybe write down some of these ideas. This is one of the first steps of taking charge of your health. This is the empowering steps that it's going to take for you to get out of wherever you are. Maybe you do have fibromyalgia. Maybe you're suffering with IBS. Maybe you're pre-diabetic. Maybe you just can't get off this mystery 40 pounds that you gained right when you lost your period in perimenopause. And you're like, I don't even know what to do about this, right? Maybe you're just fatigued. Whatever it is, this is where it starts, is the learning. And I'm so proud of you for being here and taking your time and learning. So get out your pen and pencil paper, and start asking yourself, how does blank make me feel? Right? So let's just start from the beginning of the day. How did my sleep make me feel? When you get up in the morning, write that down. I woke up with swollen joints today. I felt extra tired. My muscles feel tight, like I worked out like crazy yesterday, but I didn't. I had a hard time getting up. I snoozed 3 times, right? Those would be just negative. I was tossed and turned all night, woke up to go to the bathroom 3 times, whatever it was. Or my hips or shoulders hurt in my bed. Whatever it is, write that down. And if it was great, make sure you write that down too, saying, wow, I slept like a rock. I felt like I closed my eyes, boom, I went to sleep. And then writing down what that is. Or, oh, I wasn't as tired when I woke up today. Or my joints really felt good. Or I can spin my wedding ring. Or I can take it off, whatever it is. Start with the morning with that. Go make yourself your breakfast or your shake or whatever your routine is, or your fat coffee or your fat tea or whatever you like to do for breakfast. And then in a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours, go back and write, how do you feel? How's your energy? Good? Bad? Have you had any cravings?